Shri Guru Vaishnavans Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantam Sadhujam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Gita Shri Vishakam Vitamsam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Dr. Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Krishnane Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vansha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaurav Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Tacharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Pashapadeshikarini Naranam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottami Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam. Hare Krishna. Continuing to study from this 7th chapter, we saw in the last verses where Sutta Goswami is describing about Krishna Lila. In synopsis, there is almost 11 verses speaks about Krishna Lila, the entire Krishna Lila. The synopsis has been given. And now we will speak about the upcoming avatars, starting from Vyasadeva. Kalena milita dhiyam avam rishya narnam stokayusham swanigamo batadura para avirhitastva anuyugam sahi satyavatyam Vedadrumam Vitapasho Avahijisyati Smaha. The Lord Himself in His incarnation as the son of Satyavati. It is Satyavatayam. Satyavatayam. The son of Satyavati will consider his compilation of the Vedic literature to be very difficult for the less intelligent person with short lives. And thus he will divide the tree of Vedic knowledge into different branches according to circumstances of a particular age. So this is the conversation of Brahmaji and Narad Muni. Herein Brahma mentions the future compilations of Srimad Bhagavatam for a short-lived persons in the Kali age. As explained in the first canto, these less intelligent persons of the age of Kali would not only short-lived but also perplexed with so many problems of life due to awkward situation of the godless human society. What is the verse? Very famous verse in the first canto, which speaks about the effect of age of Kali. Very, very famous verse. All of you know this verse. We memorize this verse. Manoram Prabhu, what is the verse? Today I see many hands being raised. All hands should be raised. Everyone should be knowing this verse. Bolo bhai, Manoram Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this verse is Prayana Alpa Ayusha Shabha Kalau Asmin Yuge Jara Mandasmanda Mataya Mando Bhagyahi Upadrita.
Perfect. Yes. Prayana Alpayu Sabhya. The first symptom of age of Kali is that everyone is going to be short-lived. Kalo Asmin Yuge Jana in this age of Kali. Manda Sumanda Matayo. Manda means lazy. And Sumanda means crazy. Manda is lazy, and above all, his intelligence is also polluted, contaminated. Manda Sumanda Matayo. Manda Bhagya, they are unlucky. And always Upadrita. They are always agitated in mind. They are lazy, intelligence is contaminated, and they are unlucky, and they are always disturbed in mind. These are the four symptoms of age of Kali. Perplexed with so many problems of life due to awkward situation of the godless human society, advancement of material comforts of the body is activity in the mode of ignorance. Prabhupada is hammering. Advancement of material comforts of the body is activity in the mode of ignorance. According to the laws of material nature, real advancement of knowledge means progress of knowledge and self-realization. But in the age of Kali, the less intelligent men mistakenly consider the short lifetime of 100 years, now actually reduced to about 40 to 60 years, to be all in all. They are less intelligent because they have no information of eternity of life. They identify with the temporary material body existing for 40 years. Prabhupada is making it even shorter. And consider it only basic principle of life. Such persons are described as equal to asses and bulls. Saeva go khara. Go means cow and bull, and khara means the asses. But the Lord, as the compassionate Father of all living beings, imparts unto them the vast Vedic knowledge in short treatises like the Bhagavad Gita, and for the graduates, the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Puranas and the Mahabharatas are also similarly made by Vyasadeva for the different types of men in the mode of material nature. But none of them are independent of the Vedic principles. So this talks about the incarnation of the Supreme Lord as Vyasadeva. Devadusham Nigama Vartamani Nishityanam Urbhirmayana Vihitibhir Adrishyaturdvihi Lokan Ghlatam Mati Vimohan Ati Pralobham Vesham Vidhaya Bahubhashyata Opadhavrayamyan. When the atheist, after being well versed in the Vedic scientific knowledge, annihilate inhabitants of different planets, flying unseen in the sky on well-built rocket prepared by the great scientist Maya, the Lord will bewilder their minds by dressing himself attractively as Buddha and will preach on sub-religious principles. Prabhupada gives the explanation, very technical verse. The incarnation of Lord Buddha is not as the same Buddha incarnation we have in the present history of mankind. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the Buddha incarnation mentioned in this verse appeared in a different Kali age. In the duration of life of one Manu, there are more than 72 Kali Yugas. And in one of them, the particular type of Buddha mentioned here would appear. Lord Buddha incarnates at a time when the people are most materialistic and preaches common sense religious principles. Such ahimsa is not a religious principle itself, but is an important quality for persons who are actually religious. It is a common sense religion because one is advised to do no harm to any other animal or living being, because such harmful actions are equally harmful to him who does the harm. But before learning these principles of non-violence, one has to learn two other principles, namely to be humble and to be prideless. Unless one is humble and prideless, one cannot be harmless and non-violent. And after being non-violent, one has to learn tolerance and simplicity of living. One must offer respects to the great religious preachers and spiritual leaders, and also train the senses for controlled action. Learning to be unattached to family and home and to render devotional service to the Lord. At the ultimate stage, one has to accept the Lord and become his devotee. Otherwise, there is no religion. In religious principles, there must be God in the center, otherwise, simple moral instructions are merely sub-religious principles, generally known as the Upadharma or nearness to religious principle. So, why it is being said so? Because predominantly in every incarnation as Buddha, what religious principle he preaches is ahimsa. Ahimsa paramo dharma. And Prabhupada says ahimsa itself is not a religious principle, but is an important quality of a person who are actually religious. Prabhupada says that for non-violence there has to be two other principles. That one has to be humble and to be prideless. If these two qualities are not there, one cannot be non-violent. Yarhi alayeshu api satam na hare katha suyu pashandino dvijajana varshala nardevaha स्वाहा स्वादा वसदिति स्मागिरो न यत्रः षष्ठा भविष्यति कले भगवान युगान्ते. So at the end, therefore, after the end of Kali Yuga, Yugantara, when there exists no topics on the subject of God, even at the residence of the so-called saints and respectable gentlemen of the three higher castes, and when the power of government is transferred to the hand of ministers elected from the low-born Shudras or those less than that, and when nothing is known of the techniques of sacrifice, even by word, at that time the Lord will appear as the supreme chastiser. What is the incarnation? At the end of the Kali, what is the incarnation? At the end of Kali, what is the incarnation? People don't know. Pradeep, what is the incarnation?
Kalki Guru, Kalki
Yes,
Avatar.
Kali. Kali. The symptoms of the worst conditions of the material world at the last stage of this age called Kali Yuga are stated here. The sum and substance of such conditions is godlessness. Even the so-called saints and higher caste of the social order, generally known as the Dvijajanas or the twice born, will become atheists. As such, all of them will practically forget even the holy name of the Lord and what to speak of his activities. The higher caste of society, namely the intelligent class of men, guiding the destinies of the social order, the administrative class of men, guiding the law and order of the society, and the productive class of men, guiding the economic development of the society, must all be properly well versed in the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Knowing factually his name, qualities, pastime, entourage, paraphernalia, and personalities. The saints and the higher caste or orders of the society are judged by their proportion of knowledge in the science of God or Tattva, and not by any kind of birthright or bodily designations. Such designations, without any knowledge of the science of God and practical knowledge of devotional service, are considered to be all decorations of dead bodies. Anyone remembers the verse? Decoration of dead body. Who said to whom? Decorations of dead body. Someone remembers? Decoration of dead body. Where it was discussed? We discussed. You don't remember? Who said to whom? अच्छा इतना ही बता दो. No one remembers. Are you hearing for the first time? Decoration of the dead body. हाँ मिनट की कुछ याद ही नहीं है. I am shocked. No one remembers. Then you find out. I will not tell you. Yes. You want to speak, Ramya? बोलिए.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी सुखदेव गोस्वामी परीक्षित महाराज को
Sorry.
जी सुखदेव गोस्वामी बोले थे जहाँ पे वो मेटेरियल वे ऑफ लिविंग को बहुत कंडेम की थी.
Decoration of dead body is spoken by Narad Muni to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva, because Vyasadeva have given so much about the Karma Kand, but he failed to describe the glories of the Supreme Lord. So there are so many sections of uh, ritualistic sacrifices. And all these ritualistic sacrifices are considered to be like the decoration of the dead bodies. It is in the 5th chapter, I think as far as I remember, it is in the 5th chapter of the first verse, first canto, where Vyasadeva arrives and he diagnoses the reason that why Vyasadeva is despondent, even after contributing so much, why he is not satisfied. And he says that the satisfaction comes from the heart. So this is Prabhupada is mentioning here again. Without any knowledge of the science of God, this is what he told Vyasadeva. Without any knowledge of the science of God and practical knowledge of devotional service, all are considered to be the decorations of the dead bodies. And when there is too much inflation of this decorated dead bodies in society, there develop so many anomalies in the progressive, peaceful life of the human being. Because by the lack of training or culture in the upper section of the social orders, they are no more to be designated as the Vijayajanas or the twice borns. So this will be the situation as Kali Yuga will exert its influence moving forward. The significance of being twice born has been explained in many places of this great literature. And again, one is reminded here with that birth executed by the sex life of the father and mother is called animal birth. But such animal birth and progress of life on the animal principles of eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating, without any scientific culture or spiritual life, is called a Shudra life, or to be more explicit, the uncultured life of a lower class of people. It is stated herein that the governmental power of society in the Kali Yuga will be passed over to the uncultured, godless, liberal class of men. And thus the Nardevas or the ministers of the government will be the Varshalas or the uncultured low class of men of society. No one can expect any peace and prosperity in the human society full of uncultured lower classes of men. The symptoms of such uncultured social animals are already in vogue. And it is the duty of the leaders of men to take note of it and try to reform the social order by introducing the principle of twice born men trained in the science of God consciousness. This can be done by expanding the culture of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world. In the degraded condition of human society, the Lord incarnates as the Kalki avatar and kills all the demons without mercy. Further, Sarge tapo aham rasyo nevaya prajesha sthane atha dharma vakhamano amar vanisha ante tva dharma haramanyo vasu udaya maya vibhutaya ima purushakti bhajana. At the beginning of creation, there are penance, myself, Brahma, and the 9 Prajapatis, the great sages, who generate. Then, during the maintenance of the creation, there are Lord Vishnu, the demigods with controlling powers, and the kings of different planets. But at the end, there is a religion, and then Lord Shiva and the atheist full of anger, etc. And all of them are different representative manifestations of the energy of the supreme power, the Lord. The material world is created by the energy of the Lord, which is manifested in the beginning of the creation by the guidance of Brahma. The first living being in the creation, and then there are 9 Prajapatis, known as great sages. In this stage, when the creation is maintained, there are devotional service to Lord Vishnu of factual religion. The different demigods and the kings of different planets who maintain the world. At least when the creation is preparing to wind up, there is first principle of irreligion. Then Lord Shiva, along with his atheistic, full of anger. But all of them are but different manifestations of the Supreme Lord. It's talking about the Guna avatars, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Therefore, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahadev Shiva are different incarnations of the different modes of material natures. They are Guna avatar. Vishnu is the Lord of mode of goodness, Brahma is the Lord of mode of passion, and Shiva is the Lord of the mode of ignorance. Ultimately, the material creation is but a temporary manifestation meant to give a chance of liberation to the conditioned souls who are entrapped in the material world, and one who develops the mode of goodness under the protection of Lord Vishnu has the greatest chance of being liberated by following the Vaishnava principles and thus being promoted to the kingdom of God, no more to return to the miserable material world. So in the Guna avatar, what is being told is most important is to come to the mode of goodness. Why? Vishnu's Nuvirya Gananam Katamo Arthahi Arthatiha Yat Parthivani Api Kavir Vilmane Rajamsi Jaskambhaya Swa Rahasas Ashkhalata Prishtham Yasmatri Samaya Sadanan Uru Kampayanam. Who can describe completely the prowess of Vishnu? Even the scientist who might have counted the particles of the atoms of the universe cannot do so. Because it is Vishnu only who in his form of Vikrama moved his leg effortlessly beyond the topmost planet Satyaloka up to the neutral state of the 3 modes of material nature, and all planets were moved. The highest scientific advancement of the material scientist is atomic energy. But no material scientist is able to count the particles of atoms contained in a whole universe. But even if one were able to count such atomic particles or were able to roll up the skyline once wedding, even then one would be unable to estimate the extent of the prowess and energy of the Supreme Lord. He is known as Vikrama because once in his incarnations of Brahma, he expanded his leg beyond the highest planetary system, Satyaloka, and reached the neutral state of the modes of nature, called the covering of the material world. There are 7 layers of matter covering the material sky, and the Lord could penetrate even those coverings with his toe He made a hole through which the water of the causal ocean filters into the material sky. And the current is known as sacred Ganges, which purifies the planets of the three worlds. In other words, no one is equal to the transcendental powerful Vishnu. He is omnipotent, and no one is equal to or greater than him. Nantam vidami ahamami munayo agrajaste maya balasya purushasya kuto avareye kayan gunan upasa sanatana videva sheshvadunapi samavasyate na asya param. Neither I, this is Brahma speaking, nor all the sages born before you. Who are the sages born before Narada? Brahmaji is saying, neither I nor the sages born before you know fully the omnipotent personality of Godhead. So what can others who are born after us know about it? Even the first incarnation of the Lord, namely Shesha, has not been able to reach the limit of such knowledge. Although he is describing the qualities of the Lord with 10,000 to 10,100 mouths. No one answered what Brahmaji is asking. Who are the sages? Such an easy question. Everyone should be knowing. खाली रम्या को पता है, हाँ, बाकी को नहीं पता. How does creation begin? How the expansion happens after Brahmaji starts to create? In this creation of Brahmaji, who manifests first? Who comes? No? How you don't know, Pranab?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I guess, is it Chatuskumar?
Of course it is Chatushkumar. This is of course Chatushkumar. Those are the stages. This is what Krishna says. In the 10th chapter, in the second verse, 10th chapter, second verse, Krishna tells us, Name vidu surgana prapavam na maharshaya. Neither the host of demigods. Who is the host of demigod? Brahmaji. That is Surgana. Name vidu surgana. The most intelligent of the demigod is Brahmaji. Prabhavam na maharshaya. For Krishna's origin and influence and his opulence is never known, not only to the best of the demigods, also not to the best of the sages. Or the best of the sages? In 4 Kumaras. Chatush Kumar. Because Krishna is Aham Adiri Deva. Mahishi Namcha Sarvasha. So this is talking about the glories of God Vishnu. How can one know him? Only by his mercy and by the process of surrender. The omnipotent personality of God has primarily 3 potencies, namely the internal, external, and marginal potencies, with unlimited expansion of these 3 energies. As such, the expansion of these potencies can never be calculated by anyone. Indeed, even the personality of God held God himself as the incarnation of Shesh cannot estimate these potencies, although he has been describing them continuously with his 1000. So in this way, the potency and the glory of the Supreme Lord is being discussed here by Brahmaji to Navadeva Rishi Narad. I'll stop here. There are some more verses left in this chapter, and this 10, 11 verses. We will take slowly. Hare Krishna. पुरुषोत्तम प्रभु, अब तो फ्राइडे भी बीत गया, संडे भी बीत गया, ट्यूसडे भी बीत गया. अब क्या है?
Tomorrow I can present.
Tomorrow. We will hear from you tomorrow, and I'll call you right away. Yeah. At that time I didn't get time and बाद में भूल गया. जरूरी है. Final phase है. We cannot skip it. Anyone has any contributions for today's discussion? There must be some contribution, and we must have some discussion. Otherwise कुछ भी याद नहीं रहेगा. बिल्कुल कुछ register होगा ही नहीं. सब उधर ही. It will remain in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. It will not connect. You have all noted the day of celebration of Lord Jagannath's annual day at Ravindra Prabhu's house. We have given the invitation. Ravindra, we have sent.
Yes, bro. मैं personally किया था.
ठीक है. So please note, and everyone please come. What is the date?
19th. bro.
19th. Okay, good time. So please plan accordingly. Those who are in Delhi NCR, and those who can come from outstations are most welcome. Manoram, you have still not shared your ticket.
Prabhuji, I'll share it now. I'll share it
How
now.
mystical or secret it is. It's such a big secret. You don't want to share.
Prabhuji, I'll share it now.
Pranab, Pradeep, आपने अपनी ticket बना ली है? You have done your ticket.
Yes, bro. I will.
You send your ticket.
Yes, bro.
That Vraj Yatra. And Dayāśīl, अभी registration बंद नहीं हुआ है भाई. Yes, go ahead. बोलिए क्या कह रहे हैं?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
It is in the verse 38 Prabhuji. Like such designation without any knowledge of the science of God and practical knowledge of devotional service are considered to be all decoration of the dead bodies. Like
Yes.
Prabhuji, many times Srila Prabhupada also tells, and you also tell that devotional service and Krishna consciousness. It is very much relevant, Prabhuji, science of God, like compared to the Krishna consciousness and the
That's a
practical.
very powerful statement Prabhupada said. I repeated it. Anyone caught it? That is decoration of dead body. I repeated that statement when we started to discuss today. What was that statement? It started with advancements. Advancements in the is a sign of ignorance. Okay, I have made it very prominent. What is the sign of ignorance? Advancement in? Twice I repeated it to emphasize. Yes, Dayāśīl.
If one is always absorbed in the bodily conception of life and the activities related to body only.
The material comforts. Any progress in advancement of material comfort is a sign of mode of ignorance. Why? Because it is devoid of God consciousness and devotional service. So what it is? What it is practically? That is decoration of a dead body. When the person is not awakened spiritually, then what is he? He is on the bodily platform. And body is already dead. So what is he decorating? A dead body. So what is your question? When will that day come when we will stop this decoration of dead body? When will that day come? Kabe habe bolo, se dine amar. Aparad gucci, harinam ruchi. Kabe habe bolo. Happening. We're coming close. So every day we should cry, really cry out. How thick the veil of ignorance is. Even after coming to terms, knowing what is temporary, still we are fascinated with the temporary aspect. And we are still ignoring the eternal life of devotional practice. Okay?
Thank you.
Please keep trying for registration, whatever is possible. With whoever is possible. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay, then we'll close. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to